but you just do what you can and get familiar with the company and get used to the hours and uh, you know you get into a routine and it's you get comfortable with it and you find out that you you enjoy it.
Mhm. Here's a quote that I just like to throw in. I thought it was kind of interesting. It says, "Human beings are not born once and for all on the day their mothers gave birth to them. Life obliges them over and over again to give birth to themselves." And when I read that statement, I feel like young adulthood and adulthood, and actually all the stages of life, it's really a learning experience, and you really, as time goes on, I feel like I really get to learn more about myself and key issues in relation to myself and issues related to relationships, and it's kind of a reflective statement, I feel. When you hear that statement, what does that make you think of?
Yeah, you grow, in all your stages of the lifespan. There's new things to learn, and even when you're not in school, you learn a lot and you grow. So it's true.
It's kind of like life is a continuing process, and it's very dynamic, and there are many ups and downs in life, and there are many ins and outs, and life is always changing, and just trying to adapt and cope with everyday, all the trials and tribulations of life is a challenge in and of itself. Just to talk about briefly, personality development in young adulthood, there are basically two models. Studies of adults show that development continues throughout the life process, as we were just saying. In young adulthood, people develop as they confront issues of leaving their parents, leaving their homes, deciding on specific careers, like we were talking about, and establishing relationships. And I know for us, establishing relationships have been important in our lives. Being that our relationship is fairly new, and we're learning a lot about each other and our relationship, and we're trying to grow. I feel like as days go by, that we're trying to grow and learn more about each other. And also about establishing not only relationships, but maybe families in the future, and basically setting life goals. I know that the search for identity, it does begin in adolescence. This is according to Erikson. This seems like a rather, he says it begins in adolescence, but that's really it. That seems like a kind of a narrow view. In relation to the search for identity, like we talked about, it continues throughout adulthood, and I think what Erikson was saying is very appropriate. However, I think he needed to expound just a little bit more, saying that that we continue to search for identity every day that we live, every day that we wake up in the morning. We're always continuing to search for identity, and to see, does that what we have searched for, does that fit for us? The major stage that we're in at this time, according to Erikson, would be the 6th psychosocial crisis, which he describes as intimacy versus isolation. And he sort of mentions that to develop successfully, according to him, that young adults, they must fuse their identities in a close, intimate, heterosexual relationship. And eventually that leads to procreation. And he also goes on to say that negative outcomes may result during this period, and these can be self-absorption and isolation. So I know what he says here in regard to intimacy versus isolation. I feel like at this point in my life, I'm ready to be in a long-term relationship. Um, I'm very grateful that I met Tom, and as I mentioned before, we continue to learn about ourselves, but we're also continuing to learn about our relationship as well. And I'm grateful that we're together, and I feel real good, that we are boyfriend and girlfriend, and it kind of gives me a sense of wholeness, and it makes me feel happy inside. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, it's rewarding and someone that you can really connect with and talk to, share things with. Yeah, it's really worth it, and yeah, I like it a lot. Relationship like we have here.
hmm I know in young adulthood, um, there are two important influences during young adulthood, and I know like one of them has to do with having a mentor and then having a dream in life. And I know for me personally, there have been some people in my life that have truly been inspirational and that have really been a great mentor for me in regard to, continuing on with graduate school and continuing on with my aspirations of, completing my master's and eventually PhD, so I can become a licensed psychologist in the future. I feel like a mentor has been an important part of my life. Is there somebody specifically that, that's been really important in your life, or a mentor to you?
My mom's helped me out a lot. She went to college about the same time I did, and you know, she could help me out, and as far as what classes to take, and
hmm
I mean, and the fact that she's my mother too helps out, and she's been real supportive the whole way, no matter what I chose to do or
hmm
whatever came along. So
So you feel close to your mom, and you feel that she's really been inspirational in regard to your education and your career choices, and that she's been really supportive of you.
yeah,
hmm Yeah, I know for me also, my parents have been very good support systems, my entire family, and people, a lot of peers, um, and some other colleagues at work that have really been encouraging and have encouraged me and actually rooted me on to this challenging journey through young adulthood. Um, just to comment here, there's another theorist, his name is George Valiant, and he says, in adapting to life, people can change themselves, their surroundings, or both. So you don't have to, I think what he's saying is you don't have to really be locked into something. If you make a decision, I think, there's still options and there are still choices in life, and that, in order to make changes, you really can't change the world. I mean, you can't really change the outside world, but you can make changes within yourself. And I think that's an important issue. So basically, being able to work on, changes within seem like a key feature, according to Valiant.